All right, hello everybody. Good Tuesday morning. Yesterday was the first official day of fall. It came and went, and still we are feeling very summer-like, and that will be the case again today. In fact, I think that today is going to be even hotter across central Texas, with Austin very close to hitting 100 today. But Wednesday is going to be cold front day for us. Our next front's going to move through. It's going to bring at least some chance for rain, maybe a little bit of locally heavy rain on Wednesday with a low-end severe threat. And then behind the front, afternoons, modestly cooler. Mornings, they're going to get much cooler. So morning lows in the 50s and 60s will return. Here are the numbers across the state today. Again, you can see with the exception of parts of the Texas Panhandle, it's going to be very hot all across Texas today as the front is still kind of starting to work into the state. Here's a closer look at Central Texas. The model blend has Austin at 99 today. My official forecast, I have Austin hitting 100 today. So mid and upper 90s will be widespread. The chance for rain today is pretty low. It's about 10%. Here's the model blend over the next 10 days. Again, you can see that today is going to stick out, and then tomorrow will be kind of the transition day. We'll go through some of the model data here in a second, where still I think Austin ends up somewhere around 90 degrees, but it may actually be a little cooler by the mid to late afternoon behind the front. Just kind of depends on how much rain we have around. And then look, our afternoon's going to be, cool. No, they're still going to be upper 80s to low 90s, but this I think is the main impact. The mornings, because the humidity is going to be way down, are going to be like low to mid 60s in Austin, and outside of Austin, I think 50s are going to be widespread across much of the hill country. I know this looks a little complicated, but you can see on the 4 panel here, the National Blend of Models still bringing up a decent bit of rain, but again, I'll show you why that's still kind of a tricky part of our forecast. But the model blend, for what it's worth, has like a ½ inch of rain in Austin. And then up here, this red line, that's the temperature trend. Then this green line is the dew point. So you can see once this front moves through, our dew points are going to consistently be lower for a while. The front now starting to work its way into Texas. So here's a look at the surface map. You can see where this is basically our frontal boundary, which is pushing through the Texas Panhandle this morning. So I want to go into some of the model data here, and let's talk first temperatures, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the rain part of this. So this is the latest HRRR extended model. Let me go over here, and we're going to go to the 12Z, which is the extended run. Actually, we will go back. Now we're on the 12Z. So time is up here. Again, this afternoon, it's going to be very hot, well into the upper 90s. Again, I think Austin's probably going to hit 100 today. And then we go into tomorrow. Okay, so you can see where we've got the imprint of our front. Here's 9 a.m. We're in the upper 70s, low 80s ahead of it, and the front is about right here. In fact, if we switch over to the wind, you'll be able to see the wind shift, right? So here's where the front's going to be located at about 9 a.m. according to this model. And you guys know the deal, that there's going to be little fluctuations of a couple of hours. And although not super significant to necessarily planning your day, a couple of hours will make a pretty big difference on our temperature forecast. Here's 10, 11, noon. So I still think it's going to be sometime around midday or so on Wednesday that the front is moving in. So you can see Austin upper 80s, low 90s, more upper 80s, low 90s, Austin southeast, and then northern I-35 corridor in the hill country where the front arrives earlier. Obviously, things will start to cool down a little bit earlier. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, you can see that temperatures, depending on how much cloud cover and how much rain is around, they'll probably rebound some for the afternoon after the initial drop as the front, some rain moves through. But look, I think much of the hill country is kind of hanging out in the 70s and low 80s by the afternoon on Wednesday. For the I-35 corridor, probably mid 80s, maybe some low 80s north of Austin. And then likewise, if we get a better bit of rain down across the coastal plains, well, it could be rain cooled there during what would typically be the hottest part of the afternoon. And then we'll just kind of keep going here. This will be the last frame right here. Thursday morning, I think, will be more the transition morning. We'll have 60s and low 70s as the humidity drops, and then we'll start to get even cooler than that as we go into Friday morning and beyond into the weekend. All right, let's switch over. Let's talk about rain potential here. Again, today I think we're mainly dry. We'll watch and see if some storms get close to the northern hill country late this evening. But the better rain chance obviously is going to be during the day on Wednesday as the front comes through. So here's 7 a.m., 8, 9, 10, 11. So by 11, we probably have this broken line of showers and storms in the hill country. And I think just to sum up the rain chance, I have us at like a 60%, but I don't think that everybody's going to get heavy rain. This could be one of these deals, especially initially, where it's just like a broken line of showers and it's not too impressive. This would be 1 o'clock, and this would actually be a decent bit of rain for Austin. And then 2, 3. I actually think as we get further into the afternoon and things are even hotter and humid here as the heat and humidity pool up southeast of Austin, that there actually could be a better rain chance for places like, Caldwell County and a Bastrop into Lee and Fayette County with the front. Here's 4, 5, and then through the evening, the front eventually is going to stall down to our south, and the rain chance will be down to our south too. So look, rain totals here are going to be, it's going to be spotty. Sorry, I'm looking over a computer screen here. This one model run, which again is certainly not exactly how things play out, is showing pretty spotty accumulations that generally are under a ½ inch for those that do get rain, but there's still this low end potential for a few pockets of 1 to 3 inches of rain or so. I think areas that would be favored for that will be first northern hill country, northern I-35 corridor, then kind of skipping over Austin, and then again for areas over the coastal plains if we are going to see something like that. Okay, so that's the model data. Let me take you back over to the graphics. Severe threat is low, but it's not zero. This is the severe weather outlook through the rest of Tuesday and Tuesday night. Level 2 actually goes into far north Texas, north of Dallas. Then the level 1 goes to just north of Waco, down to about San Angelo. And then for tomorrow, again, you kind of get the idea of how things, just based on the way the front is timed up with hitting the biggest afternoon heating, kind of skip over Austin a little bit. Yeah, surprise, surprise. But technically, Austin is included in a level 1 risk for Wednesday and Wednesday night. So basically, Austin points south and southeast have that level 1 severe risk. Mainly a wind threat, maybe a little bit of small hail. I do not see a tornado risk. And then likewise, a level 1 low end risk for some locally heavy rain and some flooding. Don't expect it to be a big concern, but I can't rule it out in a few localized spots. Here are the numbers off the WPC in-house model, so the numbers from the Weather Prediction Center. These actually have trended higher. I'm not as bullish as this. It's got like, a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch in Austin. Can I rule it out? No, but I think odds are that most areas that do see rain, which again, I have the rain chance at 60%. There's going to be some that don't see much of anything. I think most that see rain will be kind of generally under a ½ inch, with maybe some pockets, especially north and then again southeast, that get more than 1 inch of rain. So that's kind of the local forecast. Real quick, I'll touch on the tropics, then we'll wrap things up here. We have Gabrielle, which yesterday became a powerful Category 4. That's going to move east, so won't be a factor for the United States. Behind it, we have a red area with a high chance of development, and then an orange area a little bit closer to the mainland U.S. that we'll keep an eye on. Here's and this doesn't really have an impact at all on our Texas forecast, so I'm not going to do like a super deep dive into this, and we'll make this video mainly about our cold front, but you can see the odds of a tropical depression developing. We have, you can see where Gabrielle obviously is going to produce tropical depression winds, then the one back behind it, which probably will recurve and stay off the coast. And then this new area, this has trended a little closer to the coast. So look, the Carolinas, the Outer Banks, into the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, they'll need to keep an eye on it, but it's also entirely possible this recurves and stay offshore. So that will be a complicated forecast for the East Coast meteorologists, but that is not going to be a factor for the Gulf or for Texas. Extended outlook, 6 to 10 day temperature probability. This is September 28th now through October 2nd, which is favoring slightly above normal temperatures here across central Texas. And then at the same time, maybe slightly above normal precipitation, but again, as we know, guys, that's going to be a little bit tricky to discern this far out. Raw model data off the European model, it showed our little dip in temperatures once we get this front to come through late week into the weekend, and then eventually kind of rebounding back into the 90s for the second half of next week. GFS model has kind of a similar deal, our modest cool down for the afternoons, but I'm not seeing anything super fall-like even in the extended forecast just yet. So you guys know I like to end with the national blend of models. Will be about 100 today. Then from after today, from there on out, we're going to be upper 80s, low 90s for afternoon highs. But the morning's going to be the main thing that you notice, where mornings are going to get a lot more comfortable. Low to mid 60s in Austin for Friday into this weekend, and really this stays pretty nice through most of next week. And then, with those being the numbers in town for Austin, across the hill country, and across less urban parts of the I-35 corridor, I do expect many areas to be dropping down into the 50s. All right, so that's an update on the forecast. I appreciate everybody tuning in this morning. Y'all have a good rest of your day. I'll have another video posted for you guys tomorrow.